All right, Nick, how's it going, man? How is your Wednesday going? Today's Wednesday.
It's going great. We wear cranberry at work every Wednesday, so I got my cranberry on, and it's been a good day. I got on the scale today; it was lowest I've been in years.
Really? What
Totally
was it
true.
today?
It was 180.2.
Very good, man. So
Yeah.
you'll see the 170s before the end of the month.
Hopefully we'll go. I mean, I didn't even know who was looking at me back in the mirror, but it was a great feeling. It was a good way to start the day.
Very good. And that reminds me, I think I have to add a couple weeks to your spreadsheet just for the next few weeks here.
Right.
I appreciate you for taking the time out to chat with me. And, I think that a lot of people are going to get value from just listening to your story and your journey,
Right.
because when you came to me about 3 or 4 months ago,
Right.
you were in a position that I would consider that, a lot of guys have goals that were similar to yours.
Yeah.
And I think people will, get value and learn some stuff from hearing about it. So I appreciate you for, chatting with me and willing to be on camera for 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, just like giving anyone who might be listening a little bit of a
Hmm.
background, I guess, about yourself, just some basic stuff like, where you're located,
Yeah.
what kind of stuff you do, whether it's for work or just day to day, like what the nature of your job and stuff like that.
Right. So my name's Nick Barbatti. I am the Associate Dean of Campus Life at Rider University. So I'm a college administrator, which has a lot of sitting around at a desk all day, but also has a lot of elements of being out and around with students and engaging them during a typical year. Aside from that, I've tried to explore a lot of my various different interests in acting. So I've done some stage acting before for the traveling show of My Big Gay Italian Wedding. And I was also recently on a reality television show called Finding Prince Charming. So, try to keep a mixture of keep myself going professionally with my career in higher education, but then exploring a little bit more of a public view as well. So,
Cool.
yeah.
That's great, man. And, it's interesting because there's been a handful of the guys in the Modern Man program who have explored specifically acting in the past that I've worked with over the last
Really?
couple years. It's funny because this is we've chatted obviously multiple times, and this is the first time I'm mentioning it to you. But
Putting that
uh,
together.
now that you've just said it, it's been, it's not the first time that that's happened, but that's awesome. And I think that, it's really important to be, creative and be, explore other things outside of just day-to-day work. So,
Yeah. And Jesse, I've always used those things as like an internal check on myself too, which has led me to you. And really why I reached out to you was tied to, wanting to be my best if I was really going to try to succeed to the best of my capacity in any of those particular areas. Especially with the COVID situation happening and just really, I mean, you can rely on that, but to me, it was really time and getting older that it took a toll on really how my body was looking and what I could get away with in terms of working out to maintain my fitness. And I realized that check had come due, and that was really what led me to reach out to you, was tying back to some of those extracurriculars, because otherwise I could have sat at my job, kept increasing the pant size as much as possible, let a couple of things out.
yeah.
But it was kind of that dedication to wanting to continue to succeed and continue to grow that led me to reaching out to you. And it was, I've said it to you before, and I mean it, and I wouldn't keep saying it if I didn't really mean it. It quickly became a transformative experience. And I quickly realized, how I needed to approach the next stage of my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. And, I'm always happy to hear you say that and that you got value from it. But it's true that like when you do take your fitness and your health and your body to the next level and improve on that,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you are becoming the better version of yourself. And, that's indirectly improving other areas of your life, right? You're more
Right,
confident, on camera, or more confident doing this or that.
right.
So I totally agree with that. And then, so going off of that, like when you did reach out, like at
Yeah.
that point, what kind of goals did you have for your own fitness and for yourself at that point?
Well, so when I reached out to you in mid-June, and I was just come back from a graduation party for my cousin's daughter, and I remember looking at the pictures, and I honestly I didn't even really recognize the look that was coming back at me. And it's not that I didn't recognize myself. I've heard some people say that, but I just realized, I said, oh, I don't look the same. I look off. And it was like, I said to you, I felt like it was like a divine intervention. I went on Facebook the next morning, and you had a video up about walking, and walking was how you were saying that, like, to not get so stressed out about the needing to do cardio, when sometimes a simple walk could be all you need to do to keep yourself going. And I remember it resonated so well for me, because I've had a life of ankle issues that have prevented me from ever being able to run and being able to do some of the one-legged workouts that really are beneficial to your body. And I just said, oh, this guy seems like someone that I would really benefit from learning more from, because it was also the tone that you were using. It was just the approach that I thought, I don't respond to barking. Like, I will close the door and go under the covers if that happens.
Yeah.
But someone who's like sit and talks to me like a big brother almost, that I don't want to disappoint, that I can get down with. So when I reached out to you, I didn't even initially know, what the services were, but I just know I had reached a point in myself that I said, like, we can't keep going down this path. And I knew it was that was the starting point. But then you kind of caught me off guard at the very beginning, because it wasn't a jump all in 1 second. It was, okay, let's try your shopping. Let's try, your food for a weekend before we even start introducing the workouts. And I remember going like, but wait, I'm ready. But then I realized it was part of an overall approach of just saying, like, okay, let's ease into this, because that's really how you're going to find your most success. And it worked for me. It definitely worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true that I guess the style that I come across in my content, it's either, really is kind of warm and either resonates with you, or it's like totally boring and like people don't want to like listen to the whole thing. So it's usually one or the other, but that is, that's very true. And at the time, so it seems like, and if I remember correctly, you had the photo shoot in mind that you had just done recently, but I remember you told me about it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you basically wanted to get leaner and more defined.
Right.
And
Thank you
improve your body
I
for that
forgot the
photo
question.
shoot.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing me back. Clearly, I forgot the question you asked. Yes, but that was my goal. So one of the things that I've done over the past few years is, I update headshots and things like that, but also just, listen, I'm a single guy, 36, 35 years old, going to be 36. And one of the things I always thought was, well, I ain't getting engagement photos. I don't have any of these other things that people have. I want to celebrate myself. So I had, but years ago, we started working with a photographer who, every few years we just do updated pictures together. And I had, during COVID, her studio got really heavily impacted. I said, oh, I would love to update my shoot, but also help out her business. And so it was again, to me, one of those goals that I just wanted to work towards. And everything seems so distant. It felt like, oh, I'll get to that. And I have some weddings coming up, but they'll come. It doesn't matter if I have this ice cream tonight and or have this burger for dinner with fries and extra fries and all that other kind of stuff. So, that was kind of my own motivation when I reached out to you. I was like, oh my God, I'll be horrified if these pictures come out bad. But, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like I was really struggling with what a lot of people have in terms of weight and others. I knew I was starting to embrace bad habits. And at the peak of my quarantine time period, which probably was also the peak pre-quarantine too, got on the scale and it was like 202. And Jesse, I literally convinced myself the scale was broken. I convinced myself like, oh, it's because I had clothes on, or I'm just coming home from work and, I had just had lunch or whatever like that. But that was never something that a number I'd ever seen before. Yeah. And I knew I feel my best hovering around the low 180s. And thankfully we got there. I wanted to trim down, lose body fat, but also then take it to a different level too, which is where I really needed your help. Was I don't know how to tone up. I didn't know how to strength train. I didn't know how to do any of those things. I knew how to eat modestly enough and do cardio, walking, and other kind of things to kind of bring myself initially down. But that's where I was relying on you for the rest.
Yeah, that's a good point that, like pretty much everyone on earth has lost weight before, right? Like we've all done it. And there's a difference between just being able to lose weight and being able to actually create the physique that you want,
Yeah.
or improving your physique, like you said, with some muscle tone, some muscle mass, with that weight loss, focusing on losing mainly body fat, not just overall scale weight, which
Right.
obviously is a combination of water, muscle, and some body fat too. So I think you did a great job at, like you said at the beginning, really jumping right into it and being ready to go. Even though you were, really
Yeah.
eager to do it, you still took things one step at a time. You still mastered the nutrition at the beginning, and then, added in the
Yeah.
workouts as well.
And Jesse, I
And
don't know if you remember when I first talked to you, I was doing one of those juice cleanses. And
yes,
like, and then I saw your post about it. I was like, that was me with the headaches, not accomplishing a whole lot.
yeah,
Couldn't wait to take graham crackers and throw them in the Nutella afterwards because like, oh my God, it was so like, that was literally the brand I used too. So,
that's, again, you're not the only one, because I had another client, this was just last week,
mhm.
email me and say, hey, like, my buddy who's into fitness is going to do a juice cleanse next week. Do you think I should just do it with him? And like, this is someone who's been working with me for a while. He's doing
Wow.
really well,
Uh,
but it just told me, like, I guess I don't talk about this enough. Like, I guess I
right, right.
should make another post about it. But no, you're right. And what were you doing previously to working together, as far as trying to reach these goals, or just in general with your fitness? Like, what were you doing previously to try to get there?
So I would always go to the gym to cardio kind of stuff last year when we could still do that. And then, when that became something we couldn't do, I would just go for walks around the campus or in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. But I'd really just kind of isolated everything, all of my exercising to that. So again, I didn't even really know where to begin, which is really where you
Mhm.
became, not only just influential but imperative to get me going and begin to see how the body parts go together. So for someone like me, I didn't know that a squat would also be what you would pair with that to then create a effective body workout. I would think, well, what's the difference if you do a squat and then start doing curls? I mean,
Right.
like, it's all one big thing, but it's not. It actually, you have to isolate certain areas, and to me that was all new.
Yeah. And again, that's something that most guys need help with and aren't sure of. So it's not like we're supposed to
Right,
know those things, right? We're not taught
right.
those. We should probably be taught that in school too, but we're not. So that's good. And if someone was to ask you, like, that's great, he lost some weight, he's looking good,
Right.
but like, what did he actually do to achieve that? Like, what kind of stuff did you actually put into practice throughout the last several months, during the program?
So, well, it was a couple of things. It was truly making connections with other people and seeing that, it oftentimes feeling like you're in this alone. Like, so for me, one of the things that I struggled with was thinking like there's no in between being like, not working out and then having a six pack. And then, through this journey, I was able to meet and see other people and also just talk to you about your own personal commitment to yourself and what you've had to do over the years to then start reaching goals. That it's not something that you just reach immediately, but in my everyday, apart from just watching how others were going about their days, looking at meal options, I never knew how to cook for myself. So even using this as an outlet to say, okay, rather than keep relying on the Wawa or whatever trips to keep me going, let me start learning how to make some meals that are healthy and also sustainable for me to then take with me for really all time. But then also pair that with the food that I want to eat too, and the food that's convenient, and sometimes understanding how those all work together. I never had an understanding about counting protein and all this other kind of stuff, or quite frankly, even counting calories. It was
Yeah.
something I never had to do, never thought I would need to do. But then boom, here we are. And it's just in general, just the pairing of fitness with food in terms of approaching a healthy lifestyle. I would often rely on one or the other, doing a lot of walking or a lot of cardio exercises, or just eating less. And that wasn't, either one of them were creating the paired experience. And when I really when I jumped right into it, Jesse, I mean, I don't know about other people. The weight started coming off to me very fast. And I don't know if everybody else has that benefit, but to me, it did. And, you know, when I started talking to you, I was 195. Really, like I said, at my peak, I was 202. And today I'm 180, which is, you know, a great decline and really where I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you said it, you know, perfectly, that like when you pair the proper nutrition, you know, strategy with the proper training, that's when you can kind of hit it from both sides, and
Right, right,
is when you're going to see the best possible results. Because most people, including myself, right, we were all started just committing to one side. Usually it's, you know, we
right,
commit to the exercise because that's the easier part. You know you should move your body
right.
and go to the gym or go for walks or whatever, and you commit to doing that first. And then once you realize how to pair that, you know, exercise portion with some sort of, you know, meal schedule or some sort of
Mm-hmm.
game plan with your nutrition, that's when you can actually create predictable results. And, you know, I knew you were going to see progress, and I knew you were going to come in and follow the game plan, but you can never really predict like the specific rate of progress. So like some people will lose, you know,
Right.
assuming weight loss goals, some people will lose 10 to 20 pounds in the
Yeah.
first three months, and you didn't even have a whole lot of weight to lose. So if
Right. Right.
you know, you were to tell me that you were going to be down 20 or 25 pounds in 3 months, I would have said he doesn't even have a whole lot of weight to lose.
Right.
So I think that in that regard, you did very well, but also to keep in mind that that last 3 to 4 weeks where you were preparing for the photo shoot, we did eat more aggressively,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
knowing that it would only be for that time period. So
Right.
in that case, it does make sense because we kind of went all in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Although that was fun. I didn't know what eating aggressively meant. I thought it meant you wanted me to eat more, and I was like, I was like heart crushed when you told me. I was like, wait a minute, you want me to eat more at like the peak time? That was a learning lesson. We were
Yeah,
learning terms.
I guess I
But I
should
also
have
remember. I don't know
clarified
if you
that.
remember the first time I talked to you. I said my goal. I just want to be a prize pupil. Like I just want to be like that's what I do. And I want to when I do something. I want to be like, oh, this is my favorite one, the easiest one to work with. And
Mhm.
that to me was my motivation was to not only like keep you proud of me and all that kind of stuff, but to also, I remember saying I need the accountability because I know I'll slip up. And I think people just don't necessarily realize that. And, you know, I've seen it mostly. I knew I needed to approach that way because I've seen that's an area where my family members struggle. Now I have like a mixture of family. You know, I have some that really struggle with weight. I have others that are, you know, just shredded and that's just the way it goes. I'm somewhere in between
Mhm.
and my genes are more with the heavier set people, and you know that's just the way it goes. I said to you once, I'm an Italian from Jersey, I'm gonna eat the pasta, like that when
Yeah,
that devil's over your
same.
shoulder, the bolognese is in the mouth. That's just the
Yeah.
way that happens. So, and I said I knew I was talking to an Italian from New York, even if I wasn't sure, I got it.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's like it's striking that balance. And you know, it was nice to see abs in my photos, but that really was never my goal. My goal was I want to be comfortable with the smile looking back on me in pictures. And even it's not even about the body. It's like, you know, what is coming through my eyes and my smile. And even the infusion of water, which you just only took a sip of, you know, that was I would never be. I would have coffee right now and just be going on with my day. And it's new, healthier life approaches that really anybody can benefit from.
Mhm.
And me personally, I for sure did.
Yeah. Cool, man. And you know that's I think the name of the game of sustaining this progress and continuing to create a better body and health as the years progress is having that flexibility, right? If I was to tell you you can never have chicken parm again, or you can never have
Yeah.
whatever your favorite Italian dish is ever again, that would probably not work out well, right? That wouldn't be
Right, right.
sustainable. Like I'm Italian too, and you know, my mom loves to just crank out
Yeah.
lasagnas. Like
It's the
I'm gonna eat
moms. The
lasagna.
moms.
So like there has to be some balance, and like when there's a strategy to the nutrition, then you can eat more flexibly and you can eat the things that you want in, you know, in moderation, right? We're not gonna have
Right.
lasagna every day, but we could have lasagna once a
Right.
week and still see great progress. Um, so I guess like going off of that and going off your whole experience and everything like that, what was it, would you say, over the last few months, together, working together in the program, that you would say is different than what you may have expected, or different from anything else that you may have tried, for someone who may be trying to get in shape too, or someone who may be trying to improve their fitness in the last few months of, this year?
So for me, what one of the things that most impressed me and really caught me most by surprise was the ability to adjust the exercises to fit my unique needs. I remember feeling like, oh, this is going to be something I might feel intimidated to ask and say I'm struggling with, or like I don't want them to think I'm weak, or hey, this is reaching a limitation with my leg that I can't match right now, and being shocked like, oh, there's an alternate exercise I can do, which I can do, that also helps me to achieve my workouts, and to not be afraid to ask, and hearing the other gentlemen's journeys every week too got me to listen to questions that they would ask, to think like, oh, I never really thought I needed to do that. But it also kept in perspective, where I am in my journey and where they all are with theirs, and how they may not synchronize, but you can reach out to other people and, learn from how they're approaching food and fitness. For me, it's the food. The food was what I needed to master, which was getting a sense of what are some ideas that I can put in place to then still keep myself satisfied, but then also be healthier. And I'm like a badge of honor when I was like, Jesse, this is how I'm approaching Chinese food. And it was like this, like, I felt like an uber healthy way of doing it. And you're like, oh, I never thought of that. Maybe I can share that with the guys. I was like, yes, I got one. Like, it was like something I discovered on my own, but still now coming up with understanding the right thought processes to leave myself feeling like the person I am, but also keeping me healthier for the future.
Yeah. And, that's a good point. Like, the group aspect to it is something that I feel like is probably a little bit different than a lot of, working with a lot of personal trainers or coaches,
Right.
because what I find is that, like, most of us, not just in the group, but most of us in general, are not surrounded by friends, colleagues, coworkers, family members who are, pumped to crush their fitness goals and value
Right.
their nutrition and their workouts. And that can be resistance, right? I'm not saying you have to get rid of
Yeah.
your friends or your family or whatever,
Right.
but like,
Right.
to have that support system and to have that community of guys that you interact with, like, literally every single day, that are
Mm-hmm.
all on a mission to improve their fitness and get better, I feel like it makes a huge difference in keeping us consistent and keeping us on track, because we do feel like we're not alone on the journey.
Right.
And
Right.
the fact that you get satisfaction and gratitude from adding value to the other guys' journeys, and they're, adding value to the group. You had an idea with the Chinese food that, I thought would be really helpful. And it's like, it's weird how satisfying that is,
Yeah.
to be able to, like, kind of be a leader in this group.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over with you. And I appreciate you for sharing your experience and your journey. Is there anything that you wanted to leave off on, whether it's about your experience or whether it's anything at all that you wanted to say to kind of close out?
No, one of the things that I'm not sure you're aware of about yourself is how open you are to building a diverse and inclusive group within the group of men that you work with. That was something that instantly struck me. Your ability to ease through transitioning to each of our personalities, each of our backgrounds, each of our lifestyles, all of that. It's effortless to you, but sometimes when it's effortless to a coach, like, you may not realize how impactful that is on our spirits, that we can be ourselves and talk to you about what we're all going through. There would have been times, Jesse, where I would have been embarrassed to share with somebody, like, oh, I'm doing a photo shoot, or I'm doing, other things, like, because it's kind of like maybe not seen as like manly enough or whatever that others would want to get into fitness for. I'm not don't want to get stronger to go out and throw a football. That's not going to be my experience. So I would just say, for anybody that is like me, that is looking for somebody that could, appreciate them for who they are, but also help them reach another plateau, you were the right person for me. And I know that you would be for them too. And you're just someone that I would totally feel comfortable and safe sharing my friends and family with which I think is the best compliment you can give to somebody. So
Cool.
it's been a real pleasure every day that I've gotten the chance to work with you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that for sure. And, you know, it's been an amazing time getting to know you more. And, you know, that's why I do it in a group setting, because I feel like, you know, I'd love to take all the, you know, all the accolades for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But like, the truth is, like you said, that environment and the group of guys who are supportive, I think probably contributes to an individual's willingness to reach out to
Right.
me, because they know it's kind of like a
Totally.
safe environment. So, you
Yep.
know, I take, you know, I'm very, you know, grateful that you feel that way. And,
Yep.
you know, I'm happy that you had a good experience.
For
Um,
sure.
but other than that, you know, if anyone else is watching this and, you know, you've got questions for Nick about his transformation or about, you know, something that he did along the way, feel free to reach out to him or reach
Yep.
out to me if you'd like to get involved as well. And that's pretty much it, man. I appreciate your time, and, you know, it's always awesome talking to you, and I'll close it out here.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks, Jesse.